just a couple minutes after 8 o'clock. Give it a minute and see if anybody shows up. I'm going to craft. I'm going to be doing some stuff, but I want to talk about some stuff too. I might get rather hateful for a few minutes, but that's okay. It'll pass. It's been one of those days. There's like everybody in Jesus live right now. And that's okay. And y'all can watch this whenever you can circle back to it. What I'm going to be trying to make tonight is the first of the fur and leather-backed keychains my husband is wanting to make. Hi, April. So I'm going to be trying to make the fur keychains with the leather lacing. I'm going to try to start. We'll see how my hands and hand strength and fingers do. This may be something that I can't help him accomplish, and he just has to do 100% of it. But I'm hoping I can get a little bit of it done. Hi, Denise. I'm really hoping I can do something to help him. I'm eating a piece of mozzarella cheese. Thank you, Denise. Hi, Gypsy. So I'm not going to wait long. I actually took a late evening nap because I was up writing stories. Our newspaper lady, when she has like a culture or specific heritage type story, she throws it to me and asks me to write it. And I do. I like to write about heritage. So anything that has to do with, that is super like about our area, I end up writing for the paper. And she sent me a story the other day, and I stayed up super late writing it because I wanted it to be just absolute perfection. And did that while I had company in and was handling all the body stuff from this weather. And it was just like, now I'm like going to be down for a couple of days sleeping, I'm sure. But that's okay. It's what it is. It was nice to have company, so I don't mind. But I'm not going to be doing a whole lot for the next few days. But if y'all go to my last live that I put Ryan's name in it because I wanted everybody to go watch his videos that he was doing on the case and my thoughts. I mean, it seems kind of like a nice thing. If you're going to speak about someone in a video, you should probably put their name in the title. And that's kind of what I do with Ron, especially if it's something that I think he may want to see, or he may want to see my thoughts on something. So I just kind of will throw his name out there, and when he gets to it, he'll get to it. And I don't really think about it that much when I do it, because most of y'all know that, several times he's shared my videos. He's popped into a live to chit chat, and we've done the tit for tat and comments a lot on lots of videos. So, and we had a lot of contact right there around the Katie Noel drama. And, I got to know him, I think, fairly decent, and I really appreciate the fella. And I really think he is, somebody that has got a very wise heart on him. And so I like for him, if I'm going to speak about him, I try to put him in the title, because I just don't think it's nice to not put the names of people in your video that you're going to be talking about. So some jerk came in and was like, we questioned why I put Ryan's name in it, and it was just so that people would watch my garbage. And I was like, if you watch more than 30 seconds, you know why I put Ryan's name in it. Actually, that's what I told him. If you watch more than just a little bit of it, you know exactly why I put Ryan's name in it. So it didn't make sense to me why he was fussing. And I was like, if you didn't watch any more than 30 seconds, then why are you taking the time to complain? It's like, logic, hello? Where are you? And and he just wanted to be a super butthole. And I was just like, I don't have time to babysit today. I'm sorry. So I just blocked his bed. So for fully grown men that come to this channel and are now watching this, I don't really care what you think about it. If you like it, stay. If you don't, it's fine. But don't take time to swap energy with me if you're going to be sour about everything. Because let me tell you what it tells me. All it does is tell me that you ran out of lubricant and Kleenex long before you ran out of energy, and I don't want to know that about you. So go on your merry way. And that's just kind of how I deal with people. So I don't really, I'm not going to get in like an internet battle, but I did tell him he needed to think about loving himself enough to where he didn't have to hate everybody so bad, because it was really an unbecoming trait. I don't, for the love of me, understand why people have turned into such monikers of stupidity. Boggles my mind. So, call me Chris. Hey, call me Chris. How you doing? So yeah, I've had a lot of hate sit in my way since I made that video. I tell y'all, it only hurts if you can spell it correctly. Big words matter. So it's just silly, and I can't imagine. Well, I can too, because I have friends that are kind of famous, and I feel so horrible for them because I know kind of what they deal with on a daily, and it's just like I couldn't be famous. I couldn't be famous. I could not be famous. Not no. Money is no, because the negativity that people want to send you just because you accomplished more with your life than they did with theirs is stupid. And I honestly think if you're going to stop and take the time to swap energy with somebody, you should at least graciously only give your energy to people that you find positive. Because this whole hating somebody because they're more popular or more capable, or they put more time into something, or they don't have the security issues that you do, and they can go online and talk about things. Don't hate somebody because they can do something you can't. Talk to them and ask them how they became able to do that, and then go do it yourself. Because let me tell you what, you can hate a lot of people, but when you hate a lot of people, the one thing we all do know is that you hate yourself. And that is the one thing that we do know. When you start hating on a lot of people, we do know that you hate yourself. And it's just, if a lot of people just understood that that's what that means. So when you walk into a room and you think you're carrying a big stick ego, all it means is you're carrying all of your jealousies, your insecurities into that room with you. And you don't love yourself enough to sit down and work on those things, because it's easier to hate other people. But the people you hate know exactly what you're doing. We understand it's an insecurity issue. We understand that. So next time before you go and want to attack somebody, realize that the person you're attacking may know a little bit more about the brain than you do, and we understand why you're doing it. But it's still a really unattractive quality, and it's super inappropriate if you don't have anything important to share, or it's just a waste of time. And Betty, I don't like to waste my time, so I click the block button. It's just like there's no need in it. There's absolutely no need in it. So that's yeah, that kind of irritated me. And his name was not Mr. Nice Guy or something. I was like, he's just gonna go make a new account and come bother me again. But that's okay. I can click block endlessly. But I couldn't be famous. I could not be famous. I don't know if I'm going to have the hand strength to do all of this. This may be something that David has to come back and do. But I'm attempting to punch holes in the thinnest leather. This is the thinnest one. So I'm attempting to punch holes in this tiny little fur. And then I'm going to attempt to weave the fur together. But I'm going to have to put a leather concrete on it first before I can do much of that. So that is what I'm attempting to do right now. David is wanting to start selling these. He wanted to see how it would go together, but his job, he's just working so much right now. It means I have to do the mock-up to show him if it's going to be something that he can use or not. Small-minded with black hearts, you nailed it. That's exactly what they are. It's just sad. It's sad when people get on the internet and literally announce to the world, hey, I don't love myself, and therefore I can love no one else. It's not what you want to get on the internet and say to people. Seriously, it's not. It's like, so I always sit down and I'm always boggled by these people that take it to such levels. But I knew if I spoke on any other news or missing person case, they would show up again and find a reason. Because I'm here to tell you people, the true crime community is whacked out. I mean, I've not met a sane one amongst them, I don't believe. Of course, now I only met a very specific group, but I'm here to tell you. Somebody dropped their tater salad on the pavement. Because it was not a good vibe. And I don't understand why people are so easily prompted to hate. It's so horrible. Nano for life, hello, how are you? We've got some newbies in here. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Time is something you don't ever get back, so I appreciate it. I wanted to come on here because I think Ryan's doing great work. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to go back and edit the title now and put Ryan's name back in it. Just take that one guy off. I think Ryan's doing great work. I think he has one of those brains that clicks on 50 channels at once, and so he's able to do, to multitask and to think different ways. And I think it shows his talent, which it shows why he's so, he writes so easy and has such storylines in his songs. It just shows everything. But I love the way his mind clicks, and have been trying to prompt him to follow that, psychology degree that he's talked about a few times. I think it'd be great for him. But I also wanted to go in here and say that, boy, he has ticked somebody off with this whole Ronnie thing, ain't he? Now, y'all know how I feel if you've watched my other video. But most people don't watch videos. Basically, I said that these kids are acting way too arrogant about whatever has occurred and whatever they know about it that has occurred. They're all acting way too arrogant for me. I'm a retired parole officer and counselor. They're all acting like they think they've got a handle on a situation that no child should ever think they have a handle on. And I'm sorry, these are still kids. And so I'm just like, something's not right here. So I'm watching this, and I'm seeing, a lot of tells, a lot of behavior, a lot of nonverbal body language, basically. And they're telling on themselves. And they're using the internet in these interviews to establish a timeline that is not really being established by anything else. And then they're not doing it well, so they're contradicting themselves throughout the interviews. And it's just like, children, where are your parents? Go home. Shut up. Wait for law enforcement to come talk to you. Stop giving interviews on social media. And right now, there's so much stuff coming out, you can't take any of it as fact. You just have to sit on it and wait. Because half the stuff people are throwing out is just to see if other people will take it and track it and follow it and do research for them, so they don't have to because they're lazy. But I still say these kids are acting way too arrogant about this. That there's an older person's hand in it somewhere. I'm not saying, it doesn't have to be like a super older person, but there's a more mature hand in it somewhere, because they're acting very self-assured, like somebody has taught them what to do and how to do it, and they think they're going to get away with something. I don't know what. I don't know what's been done. This is just my thoughts on everything. But they're just all acting way too self-assured, cocky, and emotionally backwards. So there's a lot of emotional incongruency going on with the interviews, especially with the female people that have given interviews. When the girl said we were making creme brulee, I just immediately wanted to hand her a torch and say, light it up. Show me how often you make creme brulee. But there's just a lot of strange things that popped out to me during that. There's a lot of the body language when they're saying stuff out of their mouth, their body doesn't match it. And I'm just like, no, I supervise murderers. I've supervised every level of offender there is. And I'm just like, no, something's not adding up here. They are way too arrogant and way too haughty about this. They're making way too many body tail mistakes when they're verbally trying to tell another story. And I'm just not buying it. Now, do I know what happened? No, nobody does. But I can tell you one thing. These kids are doing things that kids shouldn't be doing. And they're doing it without adults watching them. And they're doing it in a very dangerous place. due to the world climate right now. And then the fact that you look at when Ryan looked up that phone number, it pings to women's names, never a man's. The car license plate has always been on dealer tags, never on a personal vehicle. There's a lot of things that say bad mojo abounds. So I don't know if maybe some idiot that decided he wanted to be a bad person decided to test his skills in this area. But then I just recently also, and I didn't read it, I'm sorry, I was busy at the moment, ran across another story that said there were 2 more missing people in the same vicinity. What, and I need to go back and look and see what age they are and if there could be any connections, because I was too busy at the moment to do that. So I'll try to do that later tonight. But there's a lot of stuff that's kind of popping out. But what stood out to me the most was those children were obviously tangled up in things kids couldn't be tangled up in. They were talking way too casually about drugs that children should not be messing with ever, let alone probably every weekend. The girl that was taking over the site telling parents to drop them off and do not enter. I'm sorry, you don't tell a parent what to do with a child. Ever. So all of this was just like something up here. And it made me feel like those kids had created some kind of little environment, some little community amongst themselves that had been probably going bad for a while. And it just finally come to a head. Because here's the thing we know about kids, young adults, teenagers. Emotionally, when they screw up big time. And almost all murders that happen at that age out of violence start as just a beef. But they're not complex enough in their brain and in their frontal lobe and stuff to stop the advancement of the anger, to stop. They can't see where it's going. They just feel the emotion and ride it. And it's like these kids got to build their own little soap opera and nobody stopped them. And then somebody had a beef and now somebody's missing. And it's just like, I want to know what's going on. I bet every person that has ever birthed a child wants to know what's going on. Because we hope that people learn from this and find out what happened so that maybe no other parent ever has to go through something like this. So that's my hope, is that we learn enough from this that no other parent has to go through something like this. I keep thinking that eventually parents are going to, understand that you can't be your child's friend. You have to be a parent. But we're still preaching that one after how many years? It doesn't seem to be making contact. But now I'm here to tell you, that Ronnie dude, you can see I replied on one of Ryan's videos. That Ronnie dude, I knew he was white from the moment he started talking, because the accent he was trying to use was not coming natural. And only a person that doesn't understand culture, heritage, and accents would go for that accent. It just told his hand very quickly. And I'm sorry, I don't have any friends of this nature. Therefore, I'm going to completely foobar this accent and let you know immediately that I have no friends in this circle, but I'm going to play it like I do. And I put on there, I said, that boy ain't black, he's white. And I said, I'm a white woman from Appalachia. And I said, I'm here to tell you that boy is whiter than white. He's so white, he doesn't know what ingredients go in tater salad. That's how white this boy is. He's bougie white. Now, people say, oh, you white people are the same. No, let's just get this straight. In every culture, there are distinct levels and types. I am a little hillbilly. I am the scourge. I'm the scourge of society, if you really must know. And that boy right there was flip my collar, play tennis on the weekends. My sister never had a Barbie van because she thought Barbie had a limousine driver rich. That boy's got some money. His skin's too clear, and he's too ignorant socially of all the other classes out there. Because he portrayed the one class he tried to portray, he portrayed them so wrong. And it's like, if you've watched any current movies, you can pull that off. Fairly decent. So I was just like, no. That you're not speaking to someone of color. Not at all. And then he flipped the phone to show him. He was white. And Ryan had thought that too. But I'm telling you, he was more than white. He was bougie white. Bougie white. Them boys that wear their boat shoes everywhere, even though they probably have boats to wear them on, they wear the boat shoes everywhere except for on the boat. So that was just my interpretation of that man when I saw him. I was just like, what are you doing? You don't have anything better to do. What are you doing? And so that was how that guy hit me. So I don't know how it may hit you, but that's how it hit me. And to be quite honest, it seems like with the license plate and the phone that keeps processing, is it someone that maybe has gotten into a circle of people and is maybe learning how to traffic people? All these are questions that people should be asking themselves when they watch these things. Is this someone within a society that is trying to learn how to do very bad things for money? And should we all be super terrified? Because I don't know if you know, but dealer tags, one of the things, they keep a pretty tight eye on them in certain areas. They do over here. And the phone being in multiple names and never in a man's name, always in a woman, is just an odd thing. But none of it, it all just feels very, we've dipped our toe in something we just don't want to know about. Because these are the things that you hear when you sit in criminal court dates for 10 years and you go, oh, it's not going to end well. And I'm hearing a bunch of things from this story and I'm going, oh, it's not going to end well. So it's making me feel like I've sat through multiple criminal court dates and I'm back at work, which is really not where my brain wants to be. But it is very telling when I respond to stories like this. It's very telling of what is potentially coming down the pipeline. And now that there are 2 more people missing, it makes me wonder, is there a connection? Is there not? I think that one of them was male. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to have to go back and look. But I'm here to tell you, if we're just going to see things get worse and worse because, we have a lot of undocumented people in our nation right now. And that means we're going to have a lot of crime. The more undocumented people you have in your nation, the larger the crime wave gets. Because you can't hold anyone accountable. You can't find them. And they can just start over with a new name, a new identity. It's that easy. And we're fixing to see crime go through the roof if we don't get a handle on a few things in America. It's already through the roof. It's going to get even worse if we don't learn how to get a handle on a few things in America. We're not going to be able to ever get a handle on it again. It is a very sad state of affairs right now in this nation if you really look at the criminal statistics and the logistics that are thrown in. And if you look at just the stats in the border areas and the stats in the sanctuary cities and how they change as the numbers change, it's very telling. It's very telling. So, things you all need to be watching out. You need to be creating community groups where you get together with the cops and talk about trafficking and talk about how to protect your young children, your daughters especially, and women that are anywhere between the age of 13 and 50. Y'all need to learn how to take care of your butts too. Y'all need to know the warning signs, where to park in the parking lot, how to park defensively so that you can't be trapped in. Y'all need to learn these things. You need to learn pressure points so that you can take on an attacker. You need to learn how to maim somebody before they maim you. These are all things that women need to learn. When you go and put on, $200 worth of lash extensions, $80 worth of nails, $300 worth of hair, please understand, you look like the prize heifer at the county fair and somebody's going to want you. So please protect yourself appropriately. Especially if you're shining a light on yourself saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. Please learn how to defend yourself. Now, I never had anybody try to pack me off. I ain't the prettiest thing, and I'm a big old burly woman. And until my neuromuscular disorder got really bad, I'd probably whoop anybody coming around me. I was also a parole officer for a long time. So, I'm good at being hateful. But yeah, it's forcing women to have to really, honestly, live a very dark existence. But we have to, because to not be aware is an even worse one. You know, it's like, which one do you want? Which level of hell do you want to be in today? Basically, it's how we're living right now. So, but nobody ever wanted to swap me. But now, my daughter was a tiny, pretty thing. When the whole 4 years she was on that college campus, I worried about her. Thank God, she is just every bit as mean as me. So, she took real good care of herself. But I checked on her and followed her movements like a hawk, because I didn't want anybody to run off of my child. And I had people poised in about every area you could run for about 300 miles. I knew somebody that could run and grab her if she got out of pocket and needed a safe person to come grab her. So, you know, it's sad to say that parents need to think of these things, but parents need to think of these things. So, growing up, my kids had a password. They didn't go with anyone that didn't know the password. Now, obviously, my kids grew up in a different type of environment because their mother did work in the prison system. But, you know, it's smart for almost every parent to create these things with their children. It's just smart. So, passwords worked out really well. Teaching my kids how to defend themselves and stuff like that worked out really, really well. Well, I think he probably was. I mean, I think whoever it was is obviously doing something shady, because the phone and the license plate, you know, kind of allude to I'm not really the best human being in the world. But I think that was probably the carrot in front of the jackass that got it and decided he would call and try to play this game. And I thought, oh, but I mean, good on Ryan for dangling the carrot. You know, great idea. I don't have anything I could offer of any worth that would make somebody want to tell all their lies, but you know, it's great. And it's great that he puts life above that stuff. So good for him. I was quite proud when he did that. I was like, that's our boy. It's Tennessee right there on display for everybody to see. That's how we treat everybody else. We care about you. So I was glad to see he did that. I was very proud of him. And I'd love to pick his brain, but he's been doing all these panels and stuff, and he's so busy. And it's been, gosh, since he's been doing really well with Bethany. So, you know, we only talked sadly when he crashed and burned. So he's not crashed and burned forever. He's doing great. So that means, you know, hey, Mama Liz is not necessary, so I've not been necessary. So, and that's great. I don't want to be necessary. I'd rather you be happy. So I haven't got to talk to him. I'd love to pick his brain and get together and do a live with him and just say, and respond to the things he's picking up on, and my response to the things he's picking up on. So I think that would be fun. But it's just he's got so much and so many people squawking at him right now. There's probably no way in heck he would ever see a message from me. And obviously I'm less important as, you know, the YouTubers that are in his age group and do reviews all the time for his music. So he's obviously going to go to them first. He's going to go to the true crime community first as well to reach more people. That's where he needs to go to reach the most people. And the important thing is reaching the numbers right now. So I understand that completely as well. So, but you know, something, maybe one day we'll get to sit down and talk about all of this. And I know he looks for my comments and he responds to them, which is terribly kind of him. But I certainly would love to pick his brain and or at least listen to what he's saying and then respond and see if he in any way was thinking what I was thinking. So that's my deal. That's because normally we're on the same spectrum thinking, and we're in the same field, but I may be, you know, on the south side and he may be on the west side. And you know, there's a lot of thought processes in between those two things that could be had if we both knew what the other was thinking. But it's very for me, I like to watch his brain work. I like to watch his brain click channels. And so when he starts on these topics and these subjects and in these tragic stories, I really kind of am the cheerleader in his comment section. This is like, keep going, keep going, keep going. So I really want to see him. I mean, boy's smart, and he has a really good handle on nonverbal communication. And I dare say a lot of that's from living in the country. We tend to be better communicators and pick up on things before other people do. And it's not because we're super smart, it's just because in the country you come across more things that you have to speak to quietly first, especially hunters and farmers. You spend your time around animals. The animals you have to learn how to communicate with. And so he's just got more skills. I was very proud of him too. I think a lot of the boy. Think a lot of the boy. I got fur flying everywhere in here now. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna have to vacuum. So what I'm working on now is just a coyote key fob with a leather back, and I've punched the holes. And I'm gonna start braiding, but I'm only gonna braid so much of it because I have to put leather cement underneath it in a minute. So I'm braiding and I'm pulling the hair back. Now I probably will go back and do a cross braid. I haven't made my mind up yet. It just depends on what it looks like. And then David's going to look at it and see what he wants to change and how he wants to do things differently. So I'm just basically doing this as the first mock-up to see what it looks like and to see what changes he wants to make before he makes his final first product. He picked up another festival, another vendor site to go to in September. So he's got the one at True West, but I think he's going to one that's about 45 minutes away. That's fairly close as well. So he picked up another one, and then he has a pumpkin festival and something other else after that. So he's gonna be pretty busy, and plus his full-time job and all that stuff. So he's gonna be pretty busy. So I'm just trying to say, well, okay, if the first one doesn't have to be perfect, let me see what I can create. And so here I am, trying to see what the first one will look like. First one is always the roughest, and it's normally the one that I keep and personally gift to people. And then he figures out what he really likes, how he really wants it done, and then we start making the pretties, and he puts them in his Etsy store. So once he figures out exactly how he wants it done, he'll just kind of mass produce these. But I get to be the, I guess, quality control tonight and figure out exactly what we're looking at. So, and some of these will look good laced and some of them won't. And my biggest question was the coyote fur because it is so pretty. Will it look good laced? Because the lacing will obviously mess up the edge of the hair. Will it look good laced? And so I'm lacing a coyote fur key fob right now to see if it will look good laced. These are the things I do with my time. But I'm a retired parole officer. I am a retired counselor. And I did a lot of teaching murderers and violent male offenders cognitive behavioral therapy back in my day. I was really good with violent people. Probably because I'm very plain spoken and don't play games. But that's what I did with my time. And then with youth, I worked at a wilderness boot camp for a while with kids that were juvenile justice, social service, that it was either go to prison or go to this boot camp. So I worked at boot camps. I was a counselor at boot camps. And then I also counseled kids in state's custody that were there because of addiction issues or violence. So I've kind of spent my whole life doing this. And then I got diagnosed with a neuromuscular disorder. I was having a lot of frozen muscles and a lot of issues. And I was always a big, Amazon woman anyway. So when I started having frozen muscle issues, I thought I had just overdone something. And it turned out it was the first onset of a horrible neuromuscular disorder that is slowly crippling me, and it affects my organs as well, particularly my bowels and my pancreas. So I have a lot of health issues, and so when you lose me for a week or two on here, I'm normally sick, but I'll be back when I get patched up. So, and you can tell before I get sick, I look like crap today, but it's where I've been asleep all day. But I'll get really swollen, and y'all will almost warn me it's coming, and you can see it sometimes before I do. But normally it's when my hands and legs stop responding, and I get really sick for a week or two and just have to take a break and just kind of deal with it, and then I get to come back when I feel better. Hey, Million Mile, how you doing? Daniel! I had to go find Daniel on the internet the other night just so I could pick on him. I had to go look for the boy. I had to, because he won't come here and pick on me no more, so I had to go find him and pick on him. I like to pick on him, though. But no, y'all don't have to always, you don't always have to feel like kids have to pop in here. I appreciate it when you do, but I like seeing in elsewhere too, because you're hilarious and crack me up. Million Mile keeps me up to date on Triple T. I like to, if I'm up or going, if Triple T, because he does some late streams sometimes, I like to catch his stream. He's a veteran, but he's kind of a wise old man. I like to don't tell him I said he was old. But I like to sit and listen to him because he ponders a lot as he thinks. He kind of follows a trail, and you kind of see his path thought, and I like that. I like that a lot. So I listen to Triple T, if I am awake at the time. I have a really odd schedule because of the schedule my husband works. Hi, Beverly. How you doing? Daniel, it's been bad up here too. What's going on? It's been horrible up here. It's actually gone out a few times. I don't know what's going on. I think it's because we're in the sticks and they don't think they have to offer anything of quality to anybody in the sticks. Honest to gosh, I think that's what it is. I'm telling you, Million Mile, I think my health every once in a while gives me the breather I need because yeah. Especially like when Ryan will blast a video or something, I normally get just a couple hundred views or so, and then I end up getting like 6,000, and I end up getting like swamped, and it's like woo, it's fun because I meet new people, and our family kind of grows. But it's also annoying as heck because like 30% of the people you meet are just ginormous turds, and it's just like y'all are not nice. And it's like, you talk to everybody and I don't know if that guy that was posted on my other video thought he was doing me like a huge favor. But it's like, do you people not ever run into other people that respond to your nasty nature? But no, they don't do it in real life. They only do it on the internet. Because in real life, they're too busy hugging their knees and crying and being a little titty baby to tell anybody anything of any kind of honesty. Because that's what a bully is in real life. He's a weak person. And so when they come on my channel, I'll play with them for a minute, try to teach them a thing or two, but I normally cut them loose. But that just irritated the crap out of me today because I was just not in the mood to have to deal with anybody of that capacity today. And I was like, really? I would much rather also have a verbal conversation with somebody face to face, and so that you can pick up on the body cues. Because normally, if I have a face to face disagreement and I have to speak my piece in front of somebody, they never come back to bother me ever again. Ever again. So this whole over the internet, I'm the big man, nah. I ain't playing that game. It's the freaking internet. You're probably a 113-pound nerdy boy that ain't got nothing else to do. So anyway, yeah, Mr. Nice Guy, had to ban him. I didn't care for him, so he had to go by. Your name is fading way on here. You know what? I have somebody on my Instagram that is a very sweet person, but all they do is promote stuff. And they promote stuff so much that all of their social media has turned into like a billboard. And I wonder sometimes if they get lost in all that. I wonder sometimes if they get lost in all that and they forget that social media can also be used for, things that also, recharge your battery as opposed to constantly draining it. And I wonder sometimes. I really, really do. But I use mostly social media for friends and family. I don't really, and old work colleagues that I want to keep up with. I don't really promote. The only people I really promote are Ryan and JJ Lawhorn, and that's about it. I don't really promote anyone else. So, and it's only because I know them. JJ I know pretty doggone well, and he's I like JJ, and I think I think his voice is so needed in music right now. I adore JJ. Matter of fact, I've got a quilt for his little girl that I've got to get down there. I made her a baby quilt for her too. They're really sweet people. Wonderful. I mean, just great personalities, great people. So I always ask everybody, you gotta go listen to JJ. Even my friends in New York listen to JJ. That's how much I talk about him. So even my friends in New York City listen to JJ. And this is where everybody that's seen a Pace Picante commercial goes, New York City. Daniel, did you say it? Did you do it? I'm still working on this little guy. Now, if I do this, I'll have to go back and braid the other way so it's X's and not just slants of fur. I've got fur going everywhere in this room right now. Thank God it's been chemically washed and sanitized. Um, I've got a fan on me too to blow it that way, but it's not working. Daniel says the artist he has pushed up church. Mises. Well, at least you got good taste. At least you got good taste. Oh, Daniel, yeah. Daniel's sense of humor is bar none. You can't match it. You never know what he's going to pop off with, but it's going to be funny. And we're going to appreciate it. Okay, let me pop this off for a second. So this is, bless its little heart. It needs a hairdo now. It needs a trip to the salon. This is the coyote fur. I've got to go back and make all the X's now. I really want to get an embossing machine that so my husband can stamp his fur tanning business name in there. But honestly, that's probably going to be a while. But this has turned out cute. I think I prefer them not laced. I think I prefer them just leather to fur with leather concrete in the middle. I think it would be probably better not laced, but we'll see. It might change my mind when I get it completely done and the other way as well. We will see. Lacing stuff is, y'all know how much I want about lacing stuff because I hate it. I hate to lace anything. I would rather have one huge raw edge and do a braid or a weave. I hate lacing stuff so bad. And mostly it's because I have these huge calluses on my fingers from my days that I tore into livestock and halter broke cattle and horses, and I shod horses with my dad. My dad was a blacksmith, so my hands are eat up. I've got calluses, and when I do stuff like this, and my calluses get re-aggravated, my RSD makes my hands swell where my calluses are, and my calluses get ate up when I do stuff like this. So I've had a hard life, and when I have to do stuff like this, it bothers me. So this is one of those times I'm like, this. Of course, this will be my task for the night. Of course, this will be my task for the night. Outlaw Nation. Hey, I heard Struggle in a song the other day, and doggone it. I don't know which one it was, but I heard it. I had my Sirius XM playing, and I heard Struggle Jennings in the song the other day, and I didn't know which one it was, and I felt bad. So I should know all of that. But I'm getting to where I really gravitate toward his stuff lately. I don't know why. I was listening to like old school stuff, and then that one popped up. So I was like, wow. You didn't anticipate that one jumping in with everything else that I was listening to. That just, you wouldn't have thought that one was going to come on, and it did. And I was like, it's pretty. So it was nice to see, to hear it. But it was somebody that handpicked music, but it was like an old school country somebody. And they had handpicked music to listen to for an hour. And I was just, I was just like, wow, that was the song that they chose to put on there, and I was like, thank God we've got some people that listen to decent music out there somewhere. So I was happy to hear that. Tom McDonald's been quiet for a minute. He's probably working on something that's going to come out and blow up the world. I just love when his songs just, they just catch fire and roll, and everybody starts talking about him. And I love it when Tom McDonald comes out and does that. So I'm hoping whatever he's working on is going to be awesome, because he's definitely a voice that we need this time. Definitely a voice we need at this time. But he's been super quiet lately. Who else does I listen to? I was listening the other day to a bunch of people. I got back into like the old Southern classic rock. It was the old stuff. And was jamming, just cleaning the house. And thought, man, you just don't hear music like this anymore. They don't talk about these things. You can't talk about these things. Did you see where they're putting up petitions for all these toy stores to have gender neutral areas in the toy stores? Because they don't want the kids to feel a bias to buy a toy. But if you create girl, boy, and then gender neutral areas, aren't you creating a bias within your store just by trying to, because I've never seen it say this is the boys aisle. I've just seen it say cops action figures and stuff like that. It's not ever said boys aisle. And I've not ever seen it say girls aisle. I've just seen it say Barbie dolls and makeup and accessories or something like that. I've never seen it say boy, girl. But if they put up signs that now have to say boy, girl, gender neutral, are you not creating a bigger bias by doing that than by just leaving the toy store the way it is and allowing these kids to pick their own toy off the shelf without any signs, any guidance? Just let them roam the toy store and pick what they want. Let's not have to hang a sign, because by hanging a sign, are you not creating a bias yourself? Especially with everything that they hear on social media and the news and TV these days. Is it not just better just to leave the store alone and just let kids wander and pick out what they feel, attracted to? Is that not the best way to do it? I would think it would be. That way they didn't have to identify as anything. They could just pick out a toy. That's where I am. Okay. So my vote for coyote fur is that we don't lace it. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it feels. I do like the coyote fur, so I'm going to say we need a thicker leather, and we just glue these with leather concrete and punch one hole for the key ring. And we don't lace these because the coyote fur and the skin, the thinness of the coyote fur and it's all over me, and the thinness of the skin do not equate to a good weave. So we don't want to do that. So I'm going to say a no to this one. He just needs to glue these. And I think one fur that he's absolutely probably going to have to lace will be the beaver fur, because it's thick. And the leather's thick, and it has a mind of its own. And I think even if you leather concrete bond it to another piece of leather, it's still going to want to pull and bend and warp. So I think these, because they're so thick, I think they will have to be laced. But the coyote ones are so thin, I just don't think it's going to be. Look at this one. This is a raccoon. This one cannot be laced at all. I can tell you that right now, because coyote's kind of mid-grade, so that was why I picked it. Coyote and anything softer than coyote, no lacing. Is going to be glued. This is raccoon. And anything thicker like otter and beaver, absolutely going to have to be laced, because of the leather want to pull away. So I think this has been a great little test. And I'm glad my husband didn't have to waste his time to do it. But then again, it was my time. But I guess that's what wives are for. Is that what wives are for? I keep getting told. I'll put a keychain in it in a minute. I have keychains down here somewhere, but yeah, coyote fur. It was mid-grade, so I know now it does not need to be laced, and nothing smaller or thinner can be laced. And probably I will just hook a key ring on this one and pack it myself. I'm gonna have to go brush him and be nice to him for a minute because I have really like irritated his hair now. Um, but plus, when we put the leather concrete in there and the other piece of leather, it will be stiffer and it will make a better key fob. It won't be bending like this. We don't want it to bend. So we're going to have to get the 2-ply steer leather that the Amish make and just glue these puppies. So I'll probably be packing this one myself because it was the learning curve. Isn't that pleasant? The learning curve. I also have my frames bent and resting for the other catchers I'm making. And so I've got some stuff going on. My dream catchers are just what I make for people that are believe in them and want one, or maybe are having issues they want to talk about and look at the old ways of handling them. And I like to weave for people that believe in them and want to try it. And then David has an Etsy store where he sells his fur and fur items. And this was me trying to be useful to my husband. And I probably answered the question he wanted, but he probably already knew the answer to it. I think he's probably just being nice to me, saying I'll figure it out, knowing I wanted to help. So that's how my husband is. Basically, he knew I was fixing to make myself a keychain. Yeah, well, it's like, okay, so we had to do bias studies in my old line of work. My hair's sticking out there. So we had to do bias studies in our own line of work. And in law enforcement, when you look at bias, you look at it from a criminal standpoint. And lots of times you look at bias that is created basically to support criminogenic behavior and to support the criminal wave that normally comes through. Because normally when things start to get bad, it's a wave. People are purposefully pushing for criminogenic behavior in those areas. And so you're going to see more and more and more. And the one thing that stuck with me the longest, and it made sense to me the first time the guy heard it, he said, so if you go into somewhere that says, we don't want you to have a bias here, therefore we're actively training people to be unbiased, he said, creating a bias against a bias is still a bias. And I thought, well, yeah, duh. And he said, there's no way to be unbiased. He said, the human mind cannot be unbiased. There's no way. He said, the best we can hope is that we just learn, to focus on ourselves and not apply everything to other people. And so that's what I learned. And I thought that's true, because if you're trying to incline someone to not believe what they're seeing every day, you're still inclining them to believe something, to not believe something. There's still an initiative to lean to or from something, which is still a bias. And it's just like, so every time we talk about this, anything that says neutral in front of it is just basically a political funding moment. That's all it is. It's just a political funding moment. They're going to use that to get money. They're going to use that to get support. They're going to use that to create ideology. They're going to use that to create tribalism. They're going to use that to create a rift. And they're going to use that to control society. Be aware. Anytime they change wording, change the meaning of words, or they create a neutral opposition, it's funding. It's all about funding. It's all about money. It's not about believing in anyone's right to be comfortable in one's own skin. It's about how to bend your will to become theirs and get your money. That's all it is. Because if you were really all these neutral things, that's great. You could be them with no problem. But if you have to be this neutral thing, and the only way you can be this neutral thing is to also join this, and put your mouth and your words and your life and your energy here, here, and here. Oh, and by the way, we want your money too. That's not neutral. After a while, that's no. So you can't just be you without doing all that. You have to do all that. But that's neutral. Not seeing it. So if you have to act like a public funding campaign for people to be okay with you, you're probably not living an authentic life. That's just my read on it. Because people seek identification when they don't find it within themselves. When they start seeking and they get way into tribalism and stuff, that is when that person is so far lost from themselves that they're hanging on to anything they can find that makes them feel that they know who they are. And all you're doing is walking the plank and getting farther and farther and farther away from the ship in safety, and farther away to where nobody's gonna be able to bring you back in when you disappear. And it's a very big deal to stay connected to yourself and to know who you are, to you, not to the world. Screw the world. You're here on this planet for X amount of days. Enjoy them, live them for you, make yourself happy, live in peace and live amicably with people, but be happy. And don't worry about other people's perception of you. It's energy that should belong to you and not to them. Take it back. Stop being hateful and mean to people. Stop yelling at other people um, because you want them to leave you alone. Just walk away from it. Detach. Live your life. Be happy. Stop giving people your energy. Stop giving people your money. Stop giving people your life to be used as a funding campaign. It's just like, duh. Stop. It doesn't make sense to me. But, we've got so many young people these days that think you have to identify and check all these boxes and all, and it's like, no. No, you don't. The world will not stop turning if you don't go out and stand with a sign that says my great grandmother's great grandmother did this. The world will not stop turning if you don't do that. You can still be who you are and be proud of your heritage and support your heritage without doing stuff like that. Disrupting someone else's day does not make your day more superior. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It's like life only matters now if you get likes, hits, or you irritate somebody or you belittle somebody. Kindness has no value. There's no value to kindness anymore. Financially, emotionally, nothing. There's only value to hate and tribalism and attacking and tearing people apart. And it's like, that just tells me you're on the payroll of, I don't know who I am, so I'm with them until I figure it out. Because they're super, super, super aggressive. Nobody comes at them. Nobody questions them. Everybody runs away from them. I don't know who I am and I don't want to answer your questions. I'm with them until I figure out who I am. And it's just like, be scary so that nobody else can be scarier than me. Because I don't want to answer the hard questions right now because that would really be scary. And it's like, sit down, have a talk with yourself so you can walk away from this. And you can, come down off this aggressive crag you're standing on and look at people, heart to heart instead of peering down on people and thinking you're better than them, because you walk down a road holding a neon poster board that costs 99 cents at Sam's Club. It's just like, I mean, there's good intent, there's bad intent, and then there's just intent. And if you're lost in the middle to where it's just intent, what are you accomplishing? And that's where you have to get really real with yourself and talk about it. So, but every day you'll run across people that get home from work, have nothing better to do, feel lost in society, have probably been degraded by their coworkers, and they're the low dog on the totem pole of the office. And they come home and they get on their computer and they go to YouTube or Twitch or wherever, and all they do is attack people in the comment section because they need to feel superior for 5 minutes. Well, in real society, those are the people that end up coming face to face and having to actually deal with the people that they treat poorly, and they normally learn very quickly it doesn't go very far. You don't get away with that behavior, and you have to pick one because you're either a functioning society member or you're a butthole. Pick one. And so that doesn't last long when you have physical contact. When you don't have physical contact, you only have this kind of contact. It can last for a long time. It can really screw you up. And you kind of get this bifurcation of self where part of you goes to work and functions, and part of you comes home and turns into Satan and attacks people because you need to feel good about yourself. Well, gee, maybe you need to meet up with a friend and go out and karaoke. Maybe you need to meet up with a friend and find a hobby. there's another way to expend that energy that's more productive, and it's going to be better for you and everyone else, so that you're not being, not targeting people to be a butthole. But you can't tell that to these people on social media because they know everything and they're Jesus. So, so they end up just attacking videos, and then they attack my video, and I'm like, you do know that by attacking my video, it tells me that you don't love yourself, you don't think very much of yourself, and you think so little of yourself that you have to attack everybody you come in contact with to make them feel less than you, because you're pretty far down there. So after you get in stomping on my head and saying you're beneath me, it's going to be really hard for you to walk out your door and be in society. And it gets harder every day because you train yourself to behave that way. So, how do you really want to train yourself? Do you want to train yourself to be a butthole and eventually to where you can't socialize? Or do you want to train yourself to where you climb out of that hole and go back and you be productive, where you can have physical contact with people and it's positive? So it's just like, if you run into somebody and you're mean to somebody on the internet that understands why you're being mean, your cover's blown, man. We know it. We know you're struggling. And while you might think that, this is the highlight of your day, I'm sitting here going, bless his heart. Lord love him. He needs some help right now. He hates himself. And he hates himself so much that rather than deal with himself for 2 minutes, he's going to attack a stranger clean across the country on the internet so that he's distracted from dealing with himself. Huh. That's pretty crappy. That makes me really worried because a lot of our society does that nightly. And it's like, what are you doing? I was never a big social media person until I got disabled and was stuck at home. And then I was like, I'm always out and going. I was always helping people. I was always working 80 plus hours a week. And, I was always doing jobs that had amazing miracles occur when people would get off dope and become sober and take care of the families, get your kids back. And, it was just great to watch these people blossom and grow. And then, boom, get a neuromuscular diagnosis and get, a lot of sick time and a lot of surgeries and operations, and stuck at the house, can't go and do like I used to. My legs are getting really bad. And it's like, how can I still have that outreach? But what is the number one most attacked kind of person on the internet? The person that has a positive outreach. They're the number one target of everyone else because positivity is terrifying to people that are not positive. It's like a venomous snake. They know it's something they don't want to tangle with because, they know they get about one chance. Because if you allow positivity into your world, you got two options. You either feel the warm fuzzies and you follow it, or you know that you have no ability to feel the warm fuzzies ever again and you can't follow it. And that's terrifying. But it's better to know, people. It's better to find out. Better to know. I love it when y'all have little sidebar conversations down here and I have to catch up. Oh my goodness, Daniel's at it again. Oh my gosh, you guys are cracking me up. You never know what they're going to talk about. I grew up on a farm. So my very first Ken doll, I was like, what is this crap? It's like, poor man. So I grew up on a farm. I just thought it was stupid. Oh, goodness. I just thought it was silly. I was like, bless his heart. I feel bad for this poor guy. And what didn't make sense to me was that they made Barbie so profoundly gifted and blessed on top. But they make sure to rub off all the hard edges on Ken. This Barbie conversation going on down here is cracking me up. But it's like, why did you do that? Because you do understand. Basically, you're saying, okay, tatas are great. We talk about them all day long, but don't you talk about this. And it's just like, toy makers, did you not understand what you were doing? It's just hilarious. You grew up on a horse race one time. See, you know what happens. You know what's going on. And then you go get a Barbie and you finally get a Ken so they can actually sit side by side in the little pink car, which my neighbor had. I did not. And then you're like, what the crap is this? So, and then you always wonder why there's like 5 gazillion Barbies, but there's only one Ken. And I sat here one day and I looked at my daughter used to have Barbies. She didn't really care for them, but she had Barbies. Like everybody gave her like excess dolls and Barbies because they thought I didn't buy her enough dolls. It's just that the kid wanted to go saddle her horses up and ride. She wanted to hook her donkey up to her cart and take off down the road. She just wasn't big into dolls. And so she had a whole passel of them laying on the floor. I think her grandma had yard saled some and cleaned them up and sent them home with her. And I noticed there was like 10 women and one Ken doll. And I was like, I wonder if these guys know they're like promoting things that look like harems in people's homes. Like Ken has 14 wives, but there's only one Ken. But you can get like a infinite number of Barbies. There's only one Ken. What really made me feel weird was when Skipper came out, and Skipper was like the teenage sister of Barbie, but Skipper was always in the group. And you're like, how come we didn't meet Skipper till now? She's that old? Where'd she come from? How old is Barbie? Why is Barbie constantly got Skipper with her? I had endless questions about the family dynamics there. But yeah, I looked at her pile of Barbies one day, throw it in the living room floor where she'd been playing. She went to get a drink or something, and I looked and I thought, I wonder if these people know that they're promoting harems. It was just like, just question. Because that's always what it looked like to me. Yeah, why did they give Barbie? See, I'm not the only one. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? But it's flattered in Central Texas where Ken's going on. I don't understand like the lies we tell children that they automatically know are lies, but that we indefinitely like invest in blows my mind. And then the things we will allow them to tangibly participate within, but the things that we will protect them from, and you're like, parents, you do know you're doing this backwards, right? You do know you're doing this backwards, right? No, they don't. I don't have a clue. And I'm just like, whoop, whoop. If anybody is watching this and you're seeing me laugh, you need to go watch the live chat when it downloads because it's freaking hilarious. But yeah, no, these are all things, and these affect kids. I mean, we're adults now, but we're still laughing about the emotions we had with these things. These affect children. You know, they still affect us. These things affect kids. They have these questions, but we've gotten to where we will allow kids to ask questions unless it's politically correct. But you have to raise a child that can live within society and understand social behavior. But we're raising our children to be political creatures. Politics and society are two very different things that never really cohabitate. And I'm worried that we're creating these little tarnished mini adults that are going to be so jaded that they do not have fulfilling lives, they cannot have fulfilling lives, and that we've trained them in such a manner that society is always going to, they're going to trace back some kind of disorder back to this time in history when politics started becoming mainstream and when politics started becoming real life. We all know politics are not real life. We all know these people high five each other and go to dinner and are best friends. Then they're only act as though they're against each other on the floor of Congress where they get to put on a show. You know, so it's just like, I don't know. And so many people get so invested in it, and then they raise their children with these hyper vigilant perspectives and beliefs that really have no foundation in normal society and how normal societies function. And then we get this over amplification of these types of beliefs, these everything neutral that cannot occur because you cannot be neutral in anything. You cannot be neutral. But it's not bad for someone to have a bias if they understand their bias and can identify why they have it. There's a great video way back in my channel on biases and perspectives and how we get them. As long as you understand that you've created your own bias because of your beliefs and you know your structure, that's great. It's your bias. Roll with it. That's how you want to live your life. You're allowed to have your bias. So it boggles my mind. Hi, Daniel. You've stirred up that we're gonna have Barbie controversy now forever. Yes, I agree with you, Chris. I agree with you completely. Agree with you completely. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, and you know, and everybody used to say, "Oh, those times were so super toxic." But now that you look back on it, if you really gauge the two side by side, they were less toxic. When they want to say that women were, you know, placed in these roles where they didn't belong, or they were trapped in these domesticated roles, or but the women's lib movement basically they didn't want to be. They were scared to be women because they didn't want to be domesticated or seen as sexual objects. I have to do the Miranda Hart version of that. Cracks me up. But so they wanted to liberate themselves. So over the next 45 years, they liberated themselves so that they lost all their domestic capacity and really kind of screwed up the home dynamic. And now that we've come full circle, now they all are trying to relearn all the skills that they lost in the domestic capacity. Because if you can make gravy, like you have 5 girlfriends that want you to make a video about that and put it on YouTube because they don't have a clue. And so now we've got people going back to those domestic skills, trying to learn them all to be a good cook. Now we've got chef services to homes. You know, they send you little bags with the meals in them. Everybody's learned how to cook again. And women are trying to become super feminine again. But the workforce now has twice as many workers, so they can pay workers half as much, and families are screwed. Because now you can't raise your own child. It takes all these government agencies to step in. And oh, by the way, you need to keep working because since we need these government agencies, we need more money for the government agencies to raise your kids because you're not home. Oh, wait, you want to go home and just raise your own kids and screw the government? Sorry, the government wants your money. You know, and I am a counselor. There's a time and place for counseling, therapy, professionals. There is. But the first thought that you have when there's a minor issue in your home is we've got to take him to a professional. No. No. You need to rally your family and talk to that child. You need to pour the love of your family around that child. Do not take them to a stranger and say, we could talk about this with our family where we're comfortable with each other and it might do some good, but we're going to not say a word about it. We're going to take you to a therapist. You deal with it in there and don't bring it home. We ain't going to talk about it. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. But the government gained twice the workforce, get to pay them half the funds. So they doubled their workforce with the same money they were putting out in the workforce because women wanted to have jobs. But workers became so numerous that they could lower the wage. So workers became cheap labor again. But families suffered because kids were not being raised. They were not being guided. They were not being. They didn't have any consequences for sure for behavior. And so here we are, families out of control. Kids are being raised by therapists on Thursdays. And we can't stop because we get taxed so much for these special government interest things, you know, and they have to have them because they're helping our kids that are screwed up. But really, if a parent would just choose to stay home and raise their child, we wouldn't have to put all these money in all these government funded programs to fix these kids because they would have parents at home that would fix them. You know, now a parent's first thought when their child misbehaves isn't, I need to correct the behavior or it will continue and worsen. It is, can I correct behavior without the government intervening? And when people go, how did we get here? Liberation. Liberation looks a whole heck of like a jail cell, don't it? We got snookered. We got snookered, ladies. We got snookered. You know, and even I'm a big burly woman that's worked all the men jobs in the world. But we got snookered because once I had a kid and I realized how important raising my children were and how rewarding and fulfilling it was, I just wanted to be mom. I just wanted to be mom. And I found out real quick in this world, if you have children, you have to feed more than one mouth. Yeah, there's got to be about 3 jobs in that family to feed a married couple. It's just it's wrong. It's wrong how they've structured things to to benefit to benefit them politically and financially, and to keep us bent over the rail. I mean, it's wrong, and we can talk about it all day, but it's wrong. We need more Daniels out there. Yeah, that's exactly what it's from, the Almighty Dollar. We need more Daniels out there that test the rules and the boundaries. Yep, it was. Well, they made it such a convenience. Marriage is never convenient. Marriage is hard work, and if you really love somebody, it's a lot of hard work. So it's like there should never be anything convenient about marriage. It should always be hard, because if you love somebody, you should be working constantly to build that life with them, which should be difficult. Not always, tension difficult, but it should be difficult. It should be full of work. Self work and self care, and work with your partner, work on it. You've got to really put a lot of work in there and invest a lot. And they just made everything so convenient. Oh, I don't like you anymore. Oh, I've had those shoes for 2 months. I need new ones. Women get a new pocketbook every month. They have 50 tubes of mascara and still have to buy the new one to try it out because all the other girls are. And that's how society gets in those three ring dog butt sniffing circles I talk about all the time. And we just unquestionably follow the butt in front of us and join the lineup. And I'm like, people, please pull your nose out of the butt in front of you and make your own path. I would really love for people to do that. Yep, that's the best job in the world. And I didn't like it. I was such a tomboy. Grew up on farm, worked farm, taxidermy, hunting lodges, shoeing horses. I was, to this day, I could probably still fix the hydraulics on a tractor. But it's like, as soon as I had my kids, I understood what this whole generational hand the world off to someone else, make it a better place, think long term meant. And it's like, oh, I get it now. And so your children become super important, and you understand the dent that you can make on the world just in your lineage, and you realize the importance of it. And that's where the power is how you raise your children and how they take over and take care of this world. They're going to take care of it as the way you've trained them up to do so. And if parents do not start training their children up again, then they're going to be trained as the government has trained them to do so, which just means empty your pockets. We want all your money. Now go sit in the corner and don't ask us anything. I mean, even Merrick Garland got on TV and said, "How dare you question the integrity of my officers?" Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Garland, but you've questioned the integrity of every freaking American across the nation. Fair's fair, honey. And they don't even hear what they're saying. He just thought he was going to chastise half of the nation and make them feel bad. I'm sorry. Bring a switch to my front door. I might be slightly terrified of you by then. But until then, I'm going to be much more fearful of my granny when she was grabbing a limb to swat my honey in. It's like, you're not supposed to fear your government. Your government is working. It should be working for you. Like, it's supposed to work for us. They have one job: to maintain the safety of their citizens. And we just got chided by this man who thinks parents are dangerous. Haven't you seen worse in your, you're the district attorney. Haven't you seen worse? If you see a parent that is like, I want my child to not know about this until I speak to them about this because it's something that I deserve to teach my child about. Respectfully, I want you to butt out. That's more terrifying than what's going on over in the Middle East. Really? I question that. And other people are like, oh yeah, those people are scary. Really? Do you have children? Do you know the investment that you put into children? just the labor investment alone. That's my child. I should get to dictate everything. And they come on and they tell you that you're a horrible person if you want to have control over their education. And I scare you because I'm a parent. Not buying it, Mr. District Attorney, who surely has seen worse by now. $36 years. My goodness, hats off to you. You're about 20. Well, we're at 20 this year, so bless your heart. Love your kids. You don't know how long you'll have them. That's why I keep telling you. Jens all are always mesmerized with my little boy Lane, and he does dangerous work. He's an arborist. He's up trees, taking them apart, and he does dangerous work. But that's where his soul is. That's where his love is. I knew raising him that he was going to be one of those kids that had, a very thoroughly lived life, but it may not be the longest because he liked some dangerous things. And he is just now, he's got his first baby. She's due any time now. So we're just all waiting. We're all waiting for mama to pop. And it's changed his perspective on some of his jobs and stuff. So he's more picky when he chooses his tree jobs. He's using the bucket truck more often, and he only climbs the ones that he absolutely has to climb. There's no bravado anymore. There's no I have to prove myself. It's safety, and I'm like, thank you, Jesus, because this baby on the way has really matured him quite a bit, and I'm proud of him because he does a great job. He picked a hard, he's got a work ethic to him. Um, but it would terrify me. But now the gravity of everything is settled upon him, and he's making much more mature decisions, and I'm very happy to see that. Yes, congrats, because you know something, that's amazing. I know. Most of y'all can remember kindergarten. I can remember kindergarten. Never a thought crossed my mind about gender, boys and girls, about nothing. I was too busy trying to learn my colors and make sure I could spell my name and just trying to follow the rules, just making sure I didn't tick the teacher off. Um, I just think they're putting way too much. What they're doing is at the wrong times in life, emotionally and mentally, they're putting things on children that will break them, fold them, or train them in a certain way. So that when they end up to be adults, they learn stuff at the wrong times to generate the right responses. And so they get to correct the issue, and they have a very well trained adult. And almost all of the natural learning and normal flow of biology and your neural pathways has been altered, and they have created their perfect citizen. And I say that, people go, well, that's a conspiracy theory. And I'm like, I've watched it happen most of my career. I watched it happen. So you ask most of the people in prison when they started having issues, when they started having all the different rules in school. You will see a bump in the prison population in that age group. When those kids, if you go back, those kids that had a lot of the instability in their K through eighth grade, and honestly, it's like the late '90s, early 2000 kids. That little group right there have more social issues, behavioral issues, mental health issues than any other group. Why? Because that's when they started a big political shift to start to change the way that we respond to very critical things that happen in our biology and in our society, and the way that we relate in our emotional health at that age, and what we can take and what we can't take, and what will overwhelm us. And that group has got the largest prison population ever, got the largest people on supervision ever. And how do I know that? Because we're now into the next generation, it's starting to drop down. So when they introduced all this stuff, it really shocked the kids. It really changed the perspective of, I've heard about school, I've heard about what happens at school, I've heard about life, and then now I'm doing this, and it's all changed. That's when we started having all these tragedies at schools, all this additional social drama for teenagers that should not be present in schools. All this lashing out and acting out of children about these gender issues. And you look now at the population, they have the most prolific criminogenic population ever. But they're either making money for them in the prison or they're making money for them out of the prison. But either way, they're making the money. Pay attention. Prisons make money. Lots of money. Kindergarten is like a very enlightening time. Like you understand, I have to be responsible. I'm going to learn this. I go to now they're just learning to go and be the most shocking kid in the classroom. There is no let me get to know my neighbor. They breed these little divas and drama moments and they go and perform them at school and it's like stop, be a child. I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand why they're making. Well, no, I understand they're making it's a control mechanism, but I don't understand why people are following this crash and burn so voluntarily, as if there's things to fight about all day. It's we choose the one thing that socially doesn't impact us all. That impacts us the least. Because I don't know about you, but the things that I know the least about other people are what they do behind closed doors and what they have in their breeches. Because you know something? I don't go in their homes and I don't go in their pants. I hope to Jesus nobody else can, answer that differently. Scare me. But those, that's just normal in a society. The things I know the least about are what people do behind closed doors and what people have in their breeches. Because those two places I just don't go. I just don't go. But that's what we're supposed to worry the most about. But it's where we spend the least amount of time. And used to call it a private life for a reason. Now it's front page news and we all talk about it. I'm still confused why Barbie's Dolly Parton and Ken, bless his heart, apparently made a stunt grinder when he was 5 months old. I just don't understand this. I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all. So they've just got this confusion, and well, I do get it. These kids are being raised in confusion where they don't get what they need at the ages they need for the emotional maturity they're at. And I understand all that. I get all that. But the thing is that I don't understand how people have not noticed it and not been like, I have a question. Why are we doing this crap? So, but not enough of us will ask the questions at the right times. Thank you. Yes, it should be. Exactly. There should be a freedom there to make your own path and have your own, your own little world, and you don't have to watch social media to know how you should behave at school. You just are yourself. Good on you, April. We're lucky here in the sticks is we still have all our teachers are local people that we've known forever, so we still have a comfort um, with our smaller public schools. But I couldn't do it in a big place at all. I couldn't do it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. If you keep people in a state of tension and fear, they're easier to be controlled. Yeah, hats off to April. That's a massive undertaking. Exactly. Yeah, it is to set the little seed of confusion that will blossom. And then as they grow and they get those things at those times when emotional maturity and biological maturity is not right, that's when they throw those issues on those kids so they accept them because they have little open hearts, but they don't have the brains to acknowledge what they're doing. And that's why they push that on these kids because kids by nature want to gravitate and make people feel happy and accepted and loved, but they don't have the maturity to understand why they're being given these things to accept and love now, which they should not be anywhere near. And parents don't want to be seen as the bad parents or the parents that are inhibiting, their child from speaking their own language. And it's like stop being scared into everything you do. Stop being terrified. If you're making one move out of fear in your life, it's the wrong move. Fear is always the wrong move. It will generate the wrong behavior, the wrong response every time. And all that's been in our world for the last 3.5 years has been fear. No wonder everybody's screwed up. Oh, Chris, that was funny. Oh. Yeah, like we have very small class sizes here. We're blessed. So, but in a larger town, I couldn't do that in a larger town. Oh my gosh, we had a graduating class of like 112. We're tiny. We're tiny. I thought that was a big class around here. We were tiny. No, we've got two in the whole county, and we would probably only have one if they'd been left to their own devices. But Alvin C. York back in the 60s demanded a school with 50s. He demanded a school and he got a school. And so he started a state contract. So we have one state funded school, which is basically ran by locals, and then one community school that, I mean, they're just one is a little bit nicer than the other. That's the funding. Um, but they're both terribly small, and it's all locals that work at them. So we're blessed here because we still have a very tight rein on our people. So, we're still one of those communities that's like, what's crap? Catch your kid. We're still one of those communities. So that's nice that we have that because I know everyone else doesn't, and I know it's scary. So, but well, I feel like I've been yakking forever. I'm gonna have to shut up, but I enjoy spending time with you. But I think Ron is onto something. I think Ronnie done spilt too much, and he's gonna have to be quiet and backtrack and figure out a different route out of the mess he's created. I don't know who he is, what he is, but he done stepped in it. Um, Whatever he is, he ain't up to nothing good. So probably needs to have an eyeball on him anyway. Um, but this whole Rodney case is just so strange, and these kids are acting so mature and immature at the same time, like they're wanting to do these adult things and have these adult behaviors, but then when they get the ability to do these terribly adult things, they act like toddlers, and this happens. Someone comes up missing. So what is going on? What and why when they had the thing afterwards did that girl say, "No, parents, you may not come to this. You may drop your child." Yeah, I'm sorry, you don't tell a parent ever what to do with a child, honey. I'd have been up in your face in 2 seconds saying, "Excuse me, let me teach you how this works." Okay, that child came out of my vagina, so I'm gonna be a mite on her, like a mite on a chicken's butt. I'm gonna be right on her until she turns 18, because I made that. It's mine. I made it. It's mine. And for that girl to say, "Don't you may not." Oh no, those words. No, we don't say those to mothers. You may not. We laugh at those words. Because you want to know what I did to introduce this child to the world? I have over 40 hours of combined labor. Okay, tell me. But the ROTC, the JROTC sergeant major, somebody had done a pulled a stunt, and to think that they would tell on the kid, they decided to keep them all after hours, and to basically do PT until they all fessed up and told on whoever did it. Well, all of them kept their mouths shut, and they were still doing PT when I got there 2 hours later, and I came straight from work over, and I was supposed to be ready to go at that time. They kept him. I waited 30 minutes like a nice person, and we rounded to 45, and I was like, screw it. And I walked into the ROTC building, and he was still working out. And I said, "Lane, go to the car." And he goes, "We're not done here." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. You gave birth to him. Your name's on the birth certificate. I'm sorry, because I'm pretty sure, that, a little over a decade ago, I created that and brought it into existence. I vaguely remember, so I'm taking him home with me now because he's a juvenile, he's a minor. And every other parent should come here and get their minor and take them home, because I work 12 hours today and I still have to make dinner and do a load of laundry, and you don't even register on my level of anger right now, bud. Don't even. And I took my kid home. And none of them kids were like, "Your mom took the sergeant major like that?" No, yes, I did. Because you know something? You can have my child from 7:30 to 3:30, but when I show up to pick him up, you send him out to me. Don't change my life because yours was disrupted 5 days ago. I need a memo. And but that man never questioned me again. So, but and all the parents kind of trickled in behind me and were like, "Yeah, I need my kid too." Yeah, and it was like, "You bunch of pansies around here." I took my kid home, and the next morning I dropped him off, and I told the sergeant major, I said, "Do you dare give my kid heck for what I did to you?" I said, "Next time you need to punish the kids." I said, "You schedule an extra PT," and I said, "You keep the ones you think are responsible." I said, "Don't blow up." I said, hardworking people's schedules. I said, "I ain't got time for this crap." I said, "If he comes home," and I said, "You've pointed him out for anything," I said, "I'll be back up here." Not a word. Crickets. And kids need to be punished. I mean, I'm sure whoever done whatever they done need to be punished. But I mean, a whole troop of like 38 kids, no. The whole parking lot was full of parents waiting for the child. No, I was done. So, but you have to stand up. Nobody's standing up anymore like that. Like now, if somebody got in and demanded their child, Merrick Garland would be showing up. You scared somebody. That's what I was going for. Thanks. It's like dirt. I don't know. We're getting so crazy as a society. Oh yeah, he does. He does. He did. Yeah. I mean, something's going on there. We may not be in the same the same field, but we're on the same acreage. Yeah. And I'm telling you, whoever that white boy Miro, whoever he is, trying to act like telling him he was black, trying to act like that. That white boy he's white. Now I'm a white woman from Appalachia, but that boy is bougie white. He does not know what's in tater salad. He has money. He's been raised well, and he ain't got a care in the world. And that's why he's piddling in on all this. What are you up to? What you been up to? What you doing? I got questions. You know. So I don't know. I just and part of me, these kids, I want to sit down and go, why are you guys tied up and tangled up in these adult issues? Coming out here to do illegal crap, keep all these secrets, have all this drama. Why? When given the ability to have a little bit of freedom, would you choose to do these things with it? Because you could have done so many other things. So what are y'all really up to? Because they have created like a little society unto itself with no rules. But guess what? Now something has happened where there's going to be rules. But I still think they're acting way too arrogant, like they're getting fed information and they don't think they're going to get caught with anything. I don't know what's going on, but it just feels like somebody's guilty of something, and they're feeding information, and they're like, "Well, you're not going to catch me, so I can say what I want to say, and I can laugh inappropriately, and I can just throw out that we do dope all the time, and nobody's going to think anything." And and it's just like, kids, it's like you shouldn't be behaving like this, doing criminal things. They're way too arrogant. It's like when my daughter was 2, she would close her eyes and climb out of the playpen because she thought if she closed her eyes, I couldn't see her either. Broke her little heart when she realized her mother was not blind because she closed her eyes. But we got to learn and grow. But that's how these kids strike me, is they're just so simplistically stupid that they thought, oh, they're not going to catch us, or they're getting information from someone else thinking it's good information, and they're not going to be caught. They're going to be caught. So it just feels so strange to watch them behave like that though, and I'm like, oh, because all my spidey senses go off as a parent. I do outrank Sergeant Major, and he figured it dawned on him that day. Yeah, but where's the vehicle? I mean, have they already chopped it up? Should we not have been able to have found something? I mean, I know they disassembled them quickly, but wow. And my biggest thing was, okay, perhaps I sense a lot of tension when the girls talk about her, a lot of body language, tension. Like there was just something not quite right in the girl side of things. We all know how mean girls can be. Lord have mercy. Women, raise your daughters better. I mean, Lord, these girls are mean to each other. And I just picked up on a whole lot of tension there. Even when they're trying to say nice things, there's tension in the face, tension in the forehead. It just something's not right. Something's not right. Oh yeah, I had the principal hold Lane out of lunch one day because Lane was late to a class, but he was late to a class because he stopped at the bathroom. But they got mad at him for stopping the bathroom, but they had told him if he went to class, he wouldn't be let out to go to the bathroom, that he better stop before he come to class. So he stopped before he came to class, and he was like 30 seconds late. And he was like, "I'm sorry, I had to stop to use the bathroom." Then they said, well, you should have come to class and asked to leave. He said, but you told me yesterday if I come to class and ask for the bathroom, you're not going to let me go. I need to go between classes. He said, I did. I'm late. I'm sorry. They sent him to the principal's office, where the principal let him sit for 45 minutes. During his entire lunch period, the principal just let him sit there, and Lane was like, this is my lunch period, this is my lunch period. And then wanted to tell me my child was disrespectful because he said, this is my lunch period, you kept me from lunch period, I should have been able to have eaten. Tell me my child was disrespectful. And then I said, okay, well, why am I up here? And he said, well, because something happened in one of the bathrooms and we think it was your child. I said, gee, if you'd let him maybe go to class and check in with his teacher, you would have known his whereabouts and known where he was. You wouldn't have these questions. And he said, well, we just need to know if it was him. I said, why don't you just pull up security camera number 18? He goes, what? I said, my husband wired the security cameras in this place. Sorry, he had a contract. He worked with a security company. I said, why don't you just pull up security camera number 18? Oh, well, the security camera's been having a problem for the last few months. I said, you know, by law, if you don't report a camera issue in 30 days to get it repaired, you're out of you're out of compliance with your contract for the safety of these children. So I'm here, why? And you're so sure my child was a horrible kid, but you don't have any footage, even though it's your job to maintain the CCTV on the school to keep the children safe. I'm here, why? I went home. I mean, just ludicrous. Just power grab. I was just like, no. And my son was like, and I walked out of that guy's office. I said, I'm leaving. And I got up and I was like, Lane, come on. And Lane was like, oh, and he ran after me. And the guy was like, I'm not done talking to you. I said, I'm done talking to you. And I said, if we have to talk again, I said, I will have an attorney. And I thought, well, no, do not yank my chain. I will have a serious conversation and we will get through it. But if you're going to yank my chain and try to play this, me big man, me chief wampum, me make put you in your place. No, I ain't gonna know. That's when I become very aggressive. No. And this is why I work with violent offenders. I have a spot where I go to I'm done. And I'm done. And so I did that a couple times, but I had to. Good. That's great. Parents, we gotta protect your kids. You've got to be the end all be all when it comes to your children. That's why we thought that was the carrot that got the jackass to show up. And I thought that was great of Ron because it's a smart move. Smart move. You know, I mean, just a smart move for anyone. I mean, that car is worth so much money. Anyone would want it. Anyone that has a bad inclination will be the first ones to jump. Because you know somebody that actually knows something useful is sitting there going, do I really? I don't think I do. It might be useful, it may not. I don't need to bother them with my information. And that's how people that actually have valid information feel. While the people that have minuscule information think that everybody deserves it, needs to listen to them, and they deserve everything for it. So there's somebody's going to call Ryan, I'm sure, and be like, yeah, so I need that car. Okay, well, what information do you have that leads to finding this girl? Well, I saw her at the party. Well, yeah, we already designated she was most likely at this party. But I saw her myself. I saw her. All the kids at the party saw her. I mean, just people are that stupid anymore. It's just stupid. But it certainly gets the stupid people to jump first. I will say that. The extra stupid people. Yeah, they were just emotional radar was wrong. Wrong. And they all were like in on the wrong. Like the emotional radar that was wrong was consistently wrong within that group. It wasn't each internal radar was wrong. It was all of them were on the same wrong. And it was like, no, this doesn't feel right. I don't think they're either. Eckert Troll. You know, I kind of like your name. It's either a plum hoax or it's the most stupid person we've ever met. But yes, there's someone supposed to be looking into it. I think because Ryan made a slip up with a wording that sounds like investigators have gotten information from him. That's the way the words sounded to me. And so I'm thinking, oh, did he just tell on himself? So there may be, I mean, there could be, I don't know. But to me, that's what it sounded like. You'll have to go back and watch it to make your own. But to me, it sounded like that a lot. You know, you would think, you would think people would be upset if the best friend was missing. But again, we're changing the motivation, the emotional motivation of these kids these days. And I'm sorry, kids are just not, they're not the capable human beings of yesterday. Yeah, that's what I feel. I feel like they got it all together, and these interviews are them trying to create the timeline stamp for the investigators, and so that they can keep a straight follow on it as well. But the thing is they've done contradict themselves, so they didn't do it quite right. But I also think they're getting fed information on how to do this from an older, wiser person. And he's like, I've got you, I can do this, I get. And so they're very arrogant. They think they've gotten away with whatever they're doing. To me, it reads either they're toddler stupid and just don't understand what they're doing, or they're so arrogant they think they've done it so well. It's one of the two. And for me, I think they're so arrogant they think they've done whatever they've done well, and they're not. But the tension between the girls, every one of the girls speaking, the tension when they're talking, the jaws, the forehead, the lips, those girls don't like each other. And I'm sorry, but then you start looking at the way they dress with tight tops, loose bottoms, and Vans, tight tops, bodysuits, their hips are showing, or drop waist jeans with thick belts. With they're all had this kind of like uniform look to them, and lots of times little kids that have created this little like well any group that has two or more is notified as a gang according to a security threat group protocol. But they get these little civilizations, those little societies of teenagers together, and they dress a certain way to identify, like emo, punk, and all that stuff. Well, that could be a form of identification because if you look at all the girls, tight tops, baggy bottoms, and they're either showing everything they have or they have on a baggy hoodie hiding everything they have. But normally the uniform is tight top, loose bottoms, and Vans or a Van like sneaker. And I'm like, y'all dress really the same. Y'all's hair is really the same. I mean, that's to an extent that's normal, but to the extent I'm seeing it in this group, it's not. There's normally a little bit more deviation. Because somebody's always going to want to stand out. But the thing is, nobody's really standing out. They look remarkably all the same. And I'm like, I just feel weird. Like they've set up this little mafia society as kids and toyed with it, and had enough freedom to do so. And what have they gotten themselves into? I just kind of, I don't know. I see this and I see behaviors and I'm like, oh, this is not good. I would have so many questions if I was a parent in that area. If I even dropped my kid off and started seeing three or more dressed like that, in any kind of behavior that I've witnessed on the interviews, if they were just not being correct emotionally with certain topics, or I would pick up on that stuff. And there's got to be a parent somewhere that has also witnessed behavior they've questioned with this group. Talk to someone, please. Talk to someone, because these kids red flag me all day long. Of course, I've worked with the criminal demographic my entire life, so that's probably why. And I worked with teenagers a lot of that time. That's probably why. Predominantly kids in state custody that were violent, so or had addiction issues. And I'm sorry, the girl that was like, "Oh, they want me to take as many bongers." My boyfriend was here. I thought that was very forceful. You dummy. You don't need your boyfriend standing next to you to make a decision and say no. And to put that off on him tells me your decision making skills are screwed up, or you're trying to pawn off your behavior on someone else. And you're terribly codependent, which are like super red flags. I'm not your fan. Yeah, we need him to stick around for a while, don't we? Oh, I just lost that. No way. No, no, I wouldn't either. No, I'm the mama hen of every group, though. Yeah, he said report the tip that finds her for the Hellcat, but everybody's trying for it. That's how the stupid people are going to show up, because they're going to try to manipulate him, and he's going to manipulate them. If there were that many people, then there's something else going on. So either it's a group of people that are doing something criminogenic for another body, and maybe somebody found something out and had to shut the door on the potential loose information. Because to me, they didn't look like a party. They looked like they were waiting for someone to speak to them or waiting for something to be handed out to them. Look at how they're standing. Because they're all standing huddled together, but they're all looking kind of like the same way, and it's not the picture. It's not the picture taker. It's like they're waiting for someone to present, address them, hand something out, and leave. Just caught me as odd. I've seen lots of pictures from parties, and they don't look like that. Yeah, Ryan's pretty smart. He's pretty savvy, so. That's great. That's awesome. See, I don't have the time to pay attention like I used to, and that's great. To know that people are paying that close attention to reporting things, that's awesome. That's amazing. See, and why would friends not? Like, I would bare my soul to find my best friend. Why are these? I don't know. It just, I mean, just red flags all over the place. And of course, I'm way over here on the other side of the nation, but the red flags are just horrible. I know Avengers with Purpose have taken this on, and I hope that they break into something because they're pretty good to kind of do the whole, like, even though they do focus on bodies of water, they're pretty good to follow the whole story and look at other thought opportunities and other behaviors, and so they're pretty good, and they're pretty well rehearsed in it as well. So I think that they'll bring something to it. If nothing else, it's just more feet on the ground looking for this girl for answers. I think all the girls hated each other. It's like they were all competing for something. I don't know. They're all tense. They all look like they hated each other. There was no love lost there. And that's one of the biggest red flags. Crime stories. Okay, I'll check that out when I lay down. Okay, yeah, and that's the first thing I thought was, well, where's the closest body of water? But the more that I hear AWP talk about it, they're really just going in to try to help search anything. But that's the bad thing about being on the other side of the nation. It's just like you don't know the demographic. You don't know the society, the culture there, the land, the topography. You don't know, and so you're kind of running blind. The YouTubers that make up the stories they go, so they don't have to run blind. Please run blind until you know what you're talking about, so that you don't tell people falsehoods. That's so because they've been telling so many lies. That's what, yeah. That's kind of the path I'm looking on too. But here's my thing. Here's my thing. Is who is in control of the scenario? Who is in control of the situation? That's been my thing from day one. If you look at the first time I talked about this, these kids are getting directions from someone somewhere, and they're very arrogant. Whatever they're being told to how to handle this, they're very confident in how they're handling it. So I want to know what's behind this. And part of me is like, do we have a bunch of kids trafficking for people because they're middle class, unsuspected people that police wouldn't, routinely pick to pull over first? And are these kids possibly doing something illegal for a kickback somewhere that would give us the reason why they may have uniform clothing on and can be easily identified? I don't know. My parole officer brain just goes there. And if so, who is controlling and conducting this? Because and they may know. They just may be letting everybody else sit here and think about it so that something else might break. You never can tell. Okay, well that's good to know that they're in that close proximity, because I wouldn't have put that together hearing it otherwise. I don't know. Something about Jagger didn't know. He's just too tense and doesn't want to make eye contact and is too shifty. And when he's around the girls, he's terrified. No. Yeah, I'm waiting because they normally pick up on it pretty quick if somebody's trying to really screw the pooch. They'll pick up on it pretty quick and be like, "This does not smell right. We don't think this is legit. We're out." And if that occurs, then it will fall apart pretty quickly, and I'd say we'll get some information. Really. I honestly really try to be leery of anything that anybody's saying. Like I tell y'all, believe nothing, even what I tell you, go and do your own research. That way it's just best. Make sure you're thinking your own thoughts, making your own assumptions, because you got to be accountable for everything you take on and re-speak. That's why I put up that community post earlier where they were saying, okay, no, the information on the parents is false now. That can't be valid, can't be verified. I try to, if I find out something, I try to let you all know quickly. But I also say, believe nothing. Even when I tell you, go do your own research and make sure you make up your own mind. Because a lot of people were putting out a lot of falsehoods early, and it was just screwing everybody up. Yes, everybody read this. Yes, and then go watch David Pilates channel or the Can-Am Missing Can-Am project. Um, when he does his news only sessions, he talks a lot about stuff like this too. Yeah, David Pilatus is a really great man. Like, we do not know how much we were blessed to be given that man during our generation. We're blessed. That's what I've heard, but now I've said it's not been verified. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see black and white proof. And if you've got it and want to respond in that community post on it, that's great. That way to be there so people can have a valid place to know where the information is. Well, usually young parolees, um, they've been on probation once and they've gotten revoked, or they've been on probation and got revoked a couple of times, and the judge got tired of dealing with them, and he sends them on down the road, and so they come out after spending at least 2 years in custody. Well, normally, if you spend at least 2 years in custody, because if you go in, you might get a determinate release, you might not. If you get determinate release, you might be only in for 7 months. If you're in for 7 months, the county will hold on to you. But if you get more than 7 months, they're going to send you to a state facility, which means you're going to rub elbows with the big dog. And that's where a lot of big dogs do the recruiting, is at lower level offenders that haven't spent as much time in custody, but are now their first time and very impressionable, first time in the big house, very impressionable, and have to vie for protection and security in prison. So they have to make a bond with somebody. They have to pick their group. They pick their group, and they make basically um, contracts for what they will fulfill when they get out, and that's how they get an even deeper crap. So they get on parole, have to fulfill the contracts for security they got in custody, and we've got a relatively young person now on their third tier normally of supervision, and because they did their first TIFT in prison, they were a very easy target, and now they're going to have to pay their debt. And so they come back to hometown normally and create more issues. So anytime I got a first time parolee, I watched them like a hawk. Now, your old guys that have been in 3 or 4 times, they don't establish those bonds and normally milk that cow in there. It's dry, nothing else, and they just go into the time and come out. But those first timers go in and they have to make a lot of relationships for a lot of what they need to establish to survive prison. And so they come out owing a lot of people a lot of things. And a younger person that could bridge that gap to even younger people and to the older people would be a person that would say, let me enlist the work of these younger kids. Less likely to get thrown in prison, less likely to get put in jail, less likely to get pulled over by cops. They can do the work for me, and I can just pull the strings. And that's how prison corrupts a society, if you do not have great officers that monitor these people. Really. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Yes, Million Mile. Yes, everybody read this one too and pay attention. Any great? I mean, this man is great. He's a gift. He's a gift. You know, they become way more than informants. They end up owing people years of work. and they end up doing really dangerous things because they know they have a high likelihood of breaching their parole and getting revoked and going back. And if they do go back, they know they're then looking at their full sentence or at least 70%. Um, because by the time they've done those 3 tiers, then they go back, they're going to have to serve at least that much of the remainder. And it's like, and that's as a range one offender. That's not even range two. It's just where they've taken so many release or supervision or release options, they screw up their sentence management timing. But they know if they go back, they're going to get set down for a while. And so they want to make those relationships work, and they don't want to anger them. So they really work hard to do whatever they promise, because they know if they go back, they want happy faces and not mad faces. And so that's how you get a lot of well trained young idiots in your area that start running bad business through your area that you really need to keep an eye on. Literally anyone that's on probation that is 19 to 35. That is the most susceptible group of people because they're young enough to want to be out of prison and to give 20 plus years to somebody that may need them to work outside of the walls, and young enough to still be scared about having to go and serve their sentence, and impressionable. Yeah. So, and these old guys, these old hands that doing life for very big sentences, they don't care to take advantage of them. Scare the crap out of them and make them work. There's people in prison making way more money than you and me. Way more money. Yeah. Yeah, it's a dandy, but boy, it's just sad it comes at the expense of a young life. Even if she was tangled up in something she shouldn't be tangled up in, it's just sad to see a young life just be snuffed, just go gone because of this. And probably when we figure out what it's all over, it's going to be something stupid that nobody cared about. Yeah, don't drop the soap. They do. They weaponize them very quickly. Oh God, God, I'm a retired parole officer and counselor, and I taught cognitive behavioral therapy to the murderers, and then I counseled kids in state's custody for violence and drug addiction. It's where I was until my neuromuscular disorder took me out. That's all I did. I should be doing forensic psychology for the Department of Corrections to learn how to assess offenders more appropriately and place them more strategically within the prison system so that we don't get this crossover like we're getting right now. But my neuromuscular disorder decided it wanted to kill me, and so I became disabled 2 years ago. And I was home. I counseled for the last 2 to 4 years, about 3.5 years, and I knew my doctor was like, you don't have much left. He's like, you're in the hospital way too much. You better get your paperwork. So I started my paperwork for disability based on my hospitalizations worsening. Sure enough, boom, pancreas about killed me, and I got told you can't go back to work. And that's when I went mildly crazy for a little while because I'm used to working 80 hours a week. They're really, really, really integral big things. And now I'm like, yep. I'm a neuromuscular disorder. I'm going crippled, and it's attacking my digestive system and my pancreas. And I'm bored out of my mind. But my husband is a fur trapper and tanner, and I help him do some stuff when I have good days, and when I don't, I just try to get through them. And if I'm feeling good enough to sit here and talk to y'all, I do. But that's why I'm never up and walking around in videos because I will fall. I have to pay so much attention when I walk because I don't have good nerve responses, good nerve impulses. And that's why we're seated every time because I just can't. I will fall. If I try to pay attention to anything other than my feet and my legs when I'm walking, I'll go down. So I just have to be super careful. So that's why I'm always seated to talk to y'all. But men come on here all the time and they're like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Oh, really?" I would love for y'all to see a list of the people I supervise because I was always given the violent men or the murderers because I did really, really well with aggressive people. And I'm just always been good with that demographic. Or they've sent me the people that had the most security threat group links because I dealt really good with them. You had the people that were young and in stupid positions that were um, able to reform and really did change their lives. But normally, if I would normally actually choose a murderer over like a drug offender most of the time anyway. I would be like, let me just have the murderer. And people would be like, hurt, go ahead. But the thing is with murderers, you've got somebody that acted on an emotional impulse after normally a long time of tension. Or um, they were in a very tense lifestyle that created a culmination of bad decisions that created this event. It's very hard to come out after a murder and recreate the same dynamics to recreate another murder. Normally, murderers have it out of their system. They've served enough time to have processed a lot of crap, and they come out really wanting to walk away from it as far as they can. And you'll know within just a couple of weeks if you've got a good one or a bad one. Um, but they normally have processed way more and have dealt with more because they've done, normally 10, 12, 20 plus years, depending on the charge, whether it's manslaughter, homicide, murder, anyway. But I would rather take one of them over a drug offender because I know what I can help with more, and I can help with the emotional root foundational issues of the trauma better than constantly swatting flies with a drug offender because they just got so much going on. Every little thing is a reason for them to relapse, and so I would actually, be like, I'll take the murderer, you take, and then they just switched me to where I was getting all the violent men because none of the other female officers wanted the violent men, and I was like, I'll take them, I'll take them, I'll take them. I met some dandy people. They were just horrible decision makers, but you can fix that. And I met some people that really did change their lives, like the one I did a video on the other day. If you go back a couple of days, I did a video with one of the guys. I was told that I was getting a horribly aggressive parolee and I needed to be careful. And sure enough, he was 6 foot plus coming through the door with a chain on his wallet and a wife beater tank top and long hair and permanent scowl. Looked like he was going to go try out for the show Vikings and get hired immediately. And I was like, okay. But he had beautiful hair. And I noticed that his file did not read like the person sitting in front of me, and I knew there was a disconnect and found out what was going on. And he's blossomed. He's great. He's like, if I had a kid in a bad place or the group home that I used to work for needed him to come over and talk to the youth, he would be there in 5 seconds. He's like that. He's just a great guy. You meet good people everywhere, and good people make bad decisions and do bad things. It doesn't dictate who you are if you move forward and change what you need to change. So I met a lot of good people that you wouldn't think I would say that working the job I had, but I met a lot of good people. Oh, okay, everybody, this may be what you want to go watch. I'll let you go watch that, okay? Everybody go. I have no idea what that is about, but if they're doing a live and it's okay. See, these are the two people that vanished in the nearby area that I said I read the article on. Everybody go to this channel and watch this, and then we'll talk again about it tomorrow. Probably not as long though because I'm exhausted. Had too much work and visitors this week between meals, cooking meals, and I wrote some stories for the newspaper. So everybody go watch this. Yes, my Pantene. I adore him. But everybody go and check this out. And it was great to see the new guys in here. Come back and we'll talk about it again tomorrow night. Everybody, go watch this. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you pop up more often. Oh, the video is up. Well, we may want to go watch it. I hope you pop up more often. You've added a lot to the conversation. I appreciate that. And this is just like my little family. We just get together and talk. And normally I craft. Like I worked on a Coyote keychain today. My dog is looking at me like, hello, I need to go out. So I have to get up and let Oscar go out potty. But we'll do this again tomorrow. And I will probably look better and feel better tomorrow. I just had a busy weekend. We're on baby watch with the daughter-in-law, and I had visitors, and then I had some stories that I had chosen to voluntarily write for the newspaper that all came to do at the same time. It's just been I had a wild weekend and first of the week, and I'm just like, now that my visitors have left, I'm like, I can crash and rest. And my body's like, please rest because it's tired. But I had a good visit, and it was great. I loved every minute of it. I get the warm fuzzies when my friends come in and visit me. I loved it. Had a great time. It just wears me out. My body just can't deal with it. So I have to. I'll be quiet for the next couple of days and let it chill. But I will be back to talk about this case tomorrow and what we have found out and what we need to chew on for a little while. So I hope every one of you come back. You better sub so you can see me when I go live. And appreciate every second you spit with me because I know you can't get it back. So y'all have a good night. Go watch on those two other people that are missing. I'm gonna go watch it right now because that concerns me as well. So Go do your research, guys. See y'all.